GoForThe2.com in with the Week 11 college football predictions. Again, apologies for the late schedule just due to the NFL and college coverage don't have as much time, but we're going to rapid fire through the picks. You could always hit me up on Twitter or GoForThe2.com or College Football Today. Every Saturday, Sirius XM, channel 159, SportsGrid.com for the video portion. We have you covered through all the top 25 battles, under the radar games, you name it, prop picks, we cover it, College Football Today. So let's jump right into the selections for week number 11. Again, a lot of dogs. Keep in mind, teams becoming bowl eligible, fighting for jobs in terms of head coaches. That's always an aspect to keep in mind at the last 4 weeks or 5 weeks of the regular season. Miami on the road against Georgia Tech. Miami's been an absolute heater, just dominating and covering games. We see it yet again. They laid 20.5 to Malik Murphy and Duke. It was a back-and-forth affair. In the final 8-9 minutes, they pulled away and get the 21-point win as a 20.5-point favorite. Never looked back. Defense stepped up, forced 3 interceptions against Malik Murphy. Cam Ward, another dynamic performance, 400 yards, 5 touchdowns. They now go on the road to face Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech coming out of a bye week, fighting for bowl eligibility as well. Haynes King, a question mark. Whether he plays, Zach Pyron, the backup, will probably go if Haynes King is a no-go. But 5-3, Georgia Tech team 5-4. They're fighting for bowl contention. Keep in mind, this was the Mario Cristobal game last year. Miami's going to be dialed in, but I still believe Georgia Tech can run the football, playing in Atlanta. Give me Georgia Tech plus the points. Think it could be a close game. Miami has a tendency to play down to the level of competition in terms of road situations. The only real game they really dominated, I want to say from an offensive perspective and covered, was Louisville. They never trailed in terms of that matchup, always playing out in front. I don't know if they could do it against Georgia Tech at home. Give me the Yellow Jackets plus the points. Texas Tech plus the 3.5 against Colorado. Texas Tech, a better team at home than they are on the road. They get the road win over Iowa State. Taj Brooks, one of the most dynamic running backs in all of college football. They can run the football. That is still, in my opinion, the weakness of Colorado. Much better in run support. Texas Tech has one of the worst defenses, secondaries in college football. So look for Shedeur to eat. This will be a back-and-forth affair. Nothing different in terms of Texas Tech games. Joey McGuire, Deion Sanders know each other. Sanders' kid played for McGuire in high school. Texas Tech wins this game. They're fighting for a Big 12 title along with Colorado. I don't care. You want to give me 3.5 points, 4 o'clock marquee matchup. Give me Taj Brooks and Morton to step up and potentially strike the upset. I think they win it outright as a 3.5-point home dog. Pick number 2. Maryland. On the road, catching 25 against Oregon. Just a potential letdown spot for the Ducks. They get the cover late against Michigan. The inability for Michigan to convert inside the red zone, terrible by the offensive staff and Sharon Moore. Have first and goal on the 15. They go with just terrible play calling, one-dimensional. Maryland does have a better quarterback, I believe, than Michigan does. They could step up. And this game is going to be dominated by Oregon, but 25 to me is way too much. Give me the Terps plus the points in Eugene Saturday. I think it's an afternoon kick on the road. Maryland and Loxley plus the points against the Ducks. Another matchup we'll take a look at, BYU and Utah. Holy War, Big 12 championship on the line for BYU. They're undefeated. They got to go now to Rice-Eccles. Difficult place to play. Utah has nothing to play for, 4-4 overall. 4-point number. Sounds like BYU should roll. I can't buy into the Cougars in terms of this matchup. I know they've stepped up until this point, but in terms of a rivalry game with the Big 12 championship, looking at them the final month of the season, give me the Utes in a bounce-back spot. They step up and strike the upset over the Cougars. I'm taking the 4 with the Utes in that ballgame. Clemson has won 6 straight in the series against Virginia Tech. Last time they played was back in 2020. I was all over Louisville last week. I thought it was a perfect spot for the Cardinals. They had the big 3, Shuck, Isaac Brown, Ja'Cory Brooks. They stepped up, never looked back. You look at Clemson, struggle last week. Klubnik Rushing attack, non-existent, 11 of 23, I think, on third down conversions of 26. They were forced to play catch-up the whole way. 200 and plus yards. I think they rushed for 6.7 yards per carry or 7.3, the Cardinals. Now they play potentially Colin Schlee and Virginia Tech. Schlee did step up. They had the 21-3 first half lead against Syracuse. Drones and Tootin were two late scratches for Virginia Tech. It's do or die for Dabo Swinney. 6.5. I know it's a difficult place to play. You got the better quarterback. You potentially have the much better team. I know Brent Pry and Virginia Tech playing for bowl eligibility. This is their Super Bowl. I'm going to lay it with the Clemson Tigers minus the 6.5 in Blacksburg. I think they win this ball game handily by double digits. South Carolina laying 3.5 this weekend. Vandy's been spunky, 5-0. ATS as a dog. They did it yet again against Auburn. Diego Pavia, unbelievable. But you want to go up against a buzzsaw, one of the most underrated defenses in the SEC. You're looking at South Carolina. They completely shut down South Carolina in that matchup in the second half. No second half points allowed. They rushed for 286 yards on the ground. Rocket Morris and Lenora Sellers in that offense. They threw it for 246 in that game. I'll say this, South Carolina's physical. Shane Beamer's doing a great job, laying 3.5. They dominate, I think, this game in the trenches. This is a bad matchup for Vanderbilt. They actually have to absolutely win this game. They're not getting a touchdown. They're not getting 5. They're not getting 6. It's 3.5. I'm laying it with the Gamecocks, the more physical team. I think they dominate by double digits on the road. Look for that rushing attack to take over. Heavy offensive line. I think they run it at will on Vanderbilt's front seven. Last pick, South Florida. Sorry, it's been a long week. South Florida against Navy. Navy laying 3 on the road in South Florida. Another team that can run the football. There's a physical offensive line averaging $173 on the ground, only giving up $142 through on the ground as well. I think their defensive front can play very well, disrupt their zone blocking. Let's not forget, you're talking about a South Florida team that went toe-to-toe with Alabama for 3.5 quarters. They're at home, potential heat, the humidity in Tampa. I think they beat the midshipmen outright. Give me the 3 points. Your 7 picks for the weekend. South Florida plus the 3. Ready? Georgia Tech plus the 10.5. Texas Tech plus the 3.5. South Florida plus the 3. Clemson minus the 6.5. South Carolina minus the 3.5. Maryland plus the 25, and Utah plus the 4. Your 7 picks. I'll see you in week number 12. Tune in to College Football Today every Saturday. Carver and Lisi as well. Hit me up on Twitter. I'll answer as much as I can. Have a great week, everyone.